right, welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotton. Today we got Mr. Alex Butterfield. What's up, bro?
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you.
Yeah, super pumped about it, dude.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
Good, man. Can't complain. We're in Mexico, so it's nice.
That's right. Cabo. Yeah. How many times have you been here, Alex?
I think this is my fifth time.
Your
Cabo.
fifth time.
Yeah.
You love going out the country or what?
Yeah, it's nice, dude. Every single time it's been with the sales company except one. Listen to my family. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's kind of just go into your backstory on who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Where you're originally from and kind of how we got to this point today.
Yeah. So I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was the oldest of 4 kids, so kind of led the way there.
Okay.
I grew up with my dad as an entrepreneur. He owns dry cleaners and a lot of small businesses throughout my life, and he's always been in real estate. So as a kid, I'd get a call from my mom and say, like, go put your work clothes on. We're flipping a house.
Yeah.
And at like 7, 8 years old, I'm in there with a hammer and a broom and a dustpan, flipping a house, and then my dad would sell it. So I grew up doing a lot of different things. We built cabins. He bought commercial real estate. So I always loved business, things like that. But I also saw how hard it was. So I kind of got into the sales world that you guys are in when I was in high school. So between my junior and senior year of high school, I went and sold alarms door to door with my cousin. So went from Utah, never been on my own, all the way out to Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
To go knock door to door and sell alarms.
Yeah.
And I sucked.
Yeah.
I looked at the freshest face you've ever seen. I was a little boy, and the other guys didn't tell me that they were like sign poaching is what it was called, where you go like find an old Pinnacle sign or an old ADT sign and do a switch over.
Yeah.
I was just knocking fresh doors trying to talk people into security. And I think I sold 14 alarms the entire summer. I got my teeth kicked in, but came back confident.
How much did you make on one account like that with an alarm?
$200.
$200. So
Everyone else in the office is making 400. So
Okay.
I got hosts on multiple levels. I learned a lot that summer.
Yeah. Was that like a rookie thing or what?
A rookie thing. I mean, like in high school, nobody would take me because I was only 17. So I went out with my cousin. Her husband managed a team, and I went out with him because I could live with them. I didn't have to sign on my own apartment.
Right.
So it was still a great experience, and learned a lot that summer, but it was good.
Yeah. So you did that for one summer.
Yeah.
Right. How old were you? Were you
17.
going into your senior year in high school, correct?
Graduated high school. I left and served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay. Where'd you go?
Independence, Missouri, actually. Right where I sold alarms, right back.
Oh, it was stomping ground.
Yeah, and that was just a strange coincidence, but
And thinking you were meant to be there.
I guess so.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that was a great experience. 2 years, also a lot of knocking doors in that world, and what I loved about that is we just got to go out there and focus for serving people for 2 years, right? So you don't have to worry about paying the bills. You get basically $150 a week to go live on it, right? And then, or it's $150 a month, $150 a month.
Oh, dang.
For like groceries and all that stuff. Well, that's all you have to worry about, though.
Yeah.
And then you just get to go serve people and help them come to Christ. So that was a great experience.
Yeah. And whenever your junior year in high school, you went and sold some alarms. What at that specific time, right? What was like your dream? Like, what did you want to do? Were you wanting to? I know you said that you were with your parents, like flipping houses and stuff like that. Or are you kind of just trying to follow their path, or was you kind of looking at something, maybe a college route, or what exactly where was your mind at?
That's a good question. At the time, I definitely didn't want to go to college when I was in high school, right? It was like, hey, I want to go out and make a lot of money fast.
Yeah.
Neither of my parents graduated from college, and they've done well for themselves. And I didn't love learning in the classroom because I felt my teachers didn't know how to do the things they were saying.
Okay.
And that always drove me crazy.
Yeah.
And so on my mission is when I realized, so in the LDS church, you have what's called a mission president, and he oversees all of the missionaries. So there were 200 young missionaries and about 100 senior couples is what we call them. So they're older people who've retired and are out there. And he was the chief accounting officer for Kimberly-Clark. I don't know if you guys have ever read the book Good to Great.
Not yet.
Talks about like some of the top performing stocks of all time. And he was there with the CEO for that full run up.
Okay.
And he was just so exact and so sharp and demanded so much out of me. That's when I kind of looked at it like maybe I should go to school to apply some of these. So while I was on my mission, I applied to Brigham Young University and I got accepted for when I would get home.
Okay, so as soon as you got back from your mission, you went to BYU in Provo?
Yep.
Yep. And how long? So you graduated from BYU?
Yeah.
And what was your degree in?
Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing with like marketing or digital or...
No, I mean, like some of the marketing stuff is required. I just loved entrepreneurship because all of the professors, well, most of the professors had built and sold their business. And they were doing it to give back and because they liked teaching the art of business.
Yeah.
So,
And so you're going to school for business at this point. What was your vision on what type of business you wanted to go into?
yeah, that's a good question. I've always wanted to not necessarily own my own business, but like run my own thing and help scale businesses. Like that's the part I love, is I love like meeting with these CEOs and stuff and like hearing about how they built things and how they scaled it. So during the time I was actually working on a physical product. So are you guys familiar with like the baby mirrors that go in the back seat?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was creating one of those for the back of a truck bed.
Okay.
So in the back of a truck bed, they have what's called a stake pocket. And I built a customized clip. The clip in it had a mirror that was adjustable.
Yeah.
So you could see your load.
Oh,
Okay.
Right. And it was doing really good. And then I think that was in like 2019, 2020. Ford released a camera in the cab light of the truck. So you can see your load. So it was a good experience though, because it was like, oh, I actually built something. I talked to manufacturers, like I designed a product. Like, I can do this. It's not that hard. And then I just had to take it behind the barn and shoot it because it was about 10 years too late to market.
Too late. Yeah.
Yeah.
they had the technology. They can make them better.
Yeah. But that ended up spiraling me into my next role. And that's kind of how I got.
But kind of a good learning experience. Do you feel like that was the moment whenever it really clicked for you and it was like, man, I could actually do something big?
Yeah. I was like, man, like I can figure this out. Like if anyone else can, why can't I?
Right.
And I was like, this is cool. Like I'd hang out in the Home Depot parking lot and ask people like, hey, what would you pay for this? Like, I'm like, I don't know how to price it, right? Like, so like, what's the most you'd be willing to pay for this? Some dudes would say like $250.
Oh, damn.
Other dudes would say $20.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but when they could see and feel it, then I was like, how does that translate to showing it on the internet? Right? Like,
Right.
so it was a cool learning experience.
Yeah. I bet that had to be pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
never knew that about you.
Yeah. So.
So you do that, right? Obviously, you bring it in the backyard, you shoot it, right?
Yeah.
What's the next step? Where's your mind run now?
Well, because of that, I was actually at church one day and someone was speaking. I looked up his LinkedIn and he had worked for the Bain & Consulting and been a part of some big projects. So man, maybe I should just go out to lunch with this guy and see what he would do if he was in my spot. So tell him about the product. Just like, I gotta kill it. You know, what would you do? He's like, well, I'm starting up a venture capital fund and we're buying 3 businesses. Come run one of them.
Okay.
And
How'd you meet this guy?
I just reached out to him.
Oh, just randomly
On LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard him talking in church and said, hey, we go get lunch or breakfast sometime.
Yeah.
So
Took a risk.
a funny backstory though. So this is right after I graduated, right? And I had this like limbo time, and Jake Fotu reached out to, hey, you guys you got to come try Windows. Because all through college, I helped manage pest control teams up in the Pacific Northwest. So I sold pest control door to door for 4 years.
Yeah.
And my buddy Jake Fotu calls me up. He's like, hey, you got to come check out Windows. He's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
He's like, I made $10K in a month, and I only knock 5 hours a day. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I was like, it's wintertime. Nobody knocks doors.
Yeah.
And so during this time, I was actually, this is how I met Kyle Levi, is I was working for Performance selling. So in that first month, I made 10 grand, right? Without any bonuses. So
With performance.
with Performance.
Okay.
And then I had this lunch and I'm like, okay, when is another time with my background that I'd be able to get into venture capital? I don't think I could. So I took a massive pay cut. I went to $50,000 a year salary.
Oh, yeah.
After making 10K in a month. And I was like, well, this is the best way I'm going to be able to work.
That's right.
So,
yep.
you know, had to.
Got to make it hard for you.
Yeah. But it was great. It was a great experience.
And then learned a lot of the skills there that you've now brought to Performance Windows.
Yeah. Because the company that they brought me on, it was a biometric gun safe that sat on your dresser.
Yeah.
And 2020 was an interesting time because there was an election cycle that was wild. This gun safe company, like, they had done most of their most of their sales, like historically, had come from Facebook. And back then, Facebook ads were way easier, right? Like, you could target people, and our acquisition cost was like $10-15. Well, Apple released iOS 14.5, and it blocked all the tracking.
Oh no.
So you guys know how you get, like, do you want so and so to give you a better ad experience when you download a new app, and you hit no?
Yeah.
That just made my job so much harder.
Because it's a guess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because like you can't track them all the way to the end purchase anymore.
So
And so our customer acquisition cost went from like $10 to $15 up to like $60.
oh yeah.
And when you're dealing with, 30-40% margins on a physical product, like that just eats it up so fast.
Yeah.
But it was good because I was forced to get really creative in how we advertised, created a lot of partnerships, started developing new products, and I'm grateful for it because like all the weight was on me. They went from having 7 employees down to just 1 plus 1 customer service lady. So it was me and a customer service lady. So I was working on developing products, ordering products, running all the marketing.
She's doing everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
So
I bet you that a lot of learning.
yeah,
A lot of learning.
just a fire hose.
So you went and did that. How did you get back here to performance?
Yeah, so I did that. Worked for another similar fund where I was managing 3 of the portfolio companies. Kind of the marketing and advertising like that. And then I kept thinking, I said, why don't Kyle and Levi do this? Right?
So like they were just on the back of your mind?
They were on the back of my mind. And I'm like, I need to call Levi. I kept making these dumb excuses. I was like, he just had a baby. I'll give him a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I still remember I was pulling out of the parking lot of the grocery store with my wife and kids, and Levi Henry's on my phone. And I'm like, well, if I didn't call him when I was promised, like, there's always a way.
And now about down.
And he's like, hey man, what are your thoughts on like us doing some inbound marketing, or like, what would you do to grow? I was like, funny you ask. I've been thinking about you guys for like a month.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
It was, yeah.
And then you came back on, and then so you kind of described your role with Performance Windows a little bit.
Yeah. No, I would say my role is just to help scale the company in any way I can.
Growth.
So whether that's supporting Kyle and Levi and what they need done, or just exploring new avenues to go, right? So the first thing, like when I got here, I was like, okay, what can we do to support the door-to-door teams? Because they are the bread and butter.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is come in and say, oh, this needs to be changed. And
Yeah.
so it's been kind of fun because like I've never really done this style of marketing that we're doing here, where trying to warm up areas for the knockers and maximize conversions of people who were on the fence and didn't decide to buy last time. Like, how do we get them to buy this time when it comes through us?
Yeah.
So been doing that, trying to expand the retail sales side of stuff has been an interesting
A
experience.
learning experience, big time. Even from us running retails and stuff like that. Like my close ratio was like 3 for 30.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Why do you think that was?
Because we didn't have a system of, just like on the knocking side of it, we have a system built out that's almost perfected.
Yeah.
In retail, to walk in there and you can't lay down the law of like most spouses. I mean, you can try your hardest to, but I've been on the phone and said, yeah, we do want you both to be there. And I show up and it's still one of them.
Yep.
We don't set the bar for anybody, and it's going in there and trying to sell the opportunity. And for me, it always came off as a sales pitch.
Yep.
Rather than building value on what the homeowner needs.
Yeah.
So it's just, I didn't understand how to do it, but I'm so glad that y'all came in to do it, to learn.
Yeah.
No, it's working now though.
Dude, it's funny you say that, because like really what's missing is the urgency piece.
The urgency, yeah.
Right? Someone knocks on your door, we only give 1 or 2 spots away. People are inclined to make a decision.
Yep.
The biggest thing we ran into, because Kyle was running the first retails, and he closed the first one ever.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, we're going to use our script. And I'm like, okay.
Sure.
So then we brought on Alan to start closing, and, his closing, he was around like 15 to 19%. I'm like, this just can't ever work.
Yeah, it's got to be better.
And so we started rebuilding the script, trying new things, and then I hired Braden and Sarah Jane. I was like, okay, we got to set the appointments. We got to control that. Like, just trying to take any variable I could out of it.
Yeah.
And I think we've arrived there, right? Like we had to sell a little bit more on value. We've taken out a lot of the urgency pressure, and it's more of creating the value of their home and proving why we're the company to move with, because there are other options that you could go with.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I've seen a huge difference though, just in since we've introduced to retail, like for our Denver office, he's been killing it in the Denver office.
dude, 5-6 last month.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
he came in, but he's a stud coming in from the start. So
Yeah.
I think it does have to do with having the right person in that role.
Totally.
Is a big part of it. But when you give the right person the right systems, then magic happens.
Totally.
You know?
And with the right person, it's so interesting because you have to have, it's this finesse, right? Of
Mhm.
not too pushy,
Trusting.
but someone they can trust and they can ask for business in a non-ask you way,
Yeah.
right? So like, yeah, just throughout the whole sales process, right at the beginning, we're like, hey, just at the end, it's my job to ask you for your business. So I appreciate you keeping an open mind. Fair enough.
Yeah. I like that.
Right? Like
that.
just saying it like that has totally improved our closing
It
ratio.
sets the expectations, the seed droppings at the beginning.
Yeah. And someone wants to let you do your job, right? If they didn't, they wouldn't have asked for a lead.
And if when somebody, I mean, I'm the same person. If I was the homeowner role, if somebody came in my house and they're like, hey, this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to go. Do you, bro? You're the professional.
Yeah.
And that's going to be more hands off rather than a scrub walks in there and is like, yeah, is it okay if we do this? No.
Yeah.
Takes a whole different approach.
So
I want to really dive into because you're like really behind the scenes. And like you said a second ago, like your main job is to build growth right throughout the company. You've worked for many other companies, right, before you came here to Performance Windows. What do you think is what separates our owners from other business owners that you have worked with?
Oh, that's a great question, Dakota. Ability to execute quickly.
Okay. So
So-
urgency in them.
Yeah. Kyle is great at being able to get results out of people very quickly. So is Levi. And Levi is also great at reading a situation and being able to make a decision on the spot that is most of the time the right decision.
Yeah.
And he's okay with being wrong. Right? A lot of people get stuck in like, oh, I need to analyze this data or this and that. And I've seen a lot of time loss, and then it's not as impactful when they make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? My favorite is when I hear a Voxer from Levi at 11 o'clock at night and I hear gym weights clanking.
Yeah.
And I know all hell's about to break loose in the Voxer chat
Yeah.
because there's issues that need to be solved, right?
Addressed then.
And he doesn't wait till the next day. He doesn't wait till the next meeting, the next market owner meeting. It's 11 p.m. and he expects an answer, right? So people will rise to the occasion, dude, right? Like they have a lot more to give than the society asks of us.
Right.
And he knows they both know how to extract the value out of that. And
Get the most of the potential that somebody has.
right.
I mean, I think it comes back to applying the pressure. You know, for me, even in my role, I try and hold myself as accountable as could be. But pressure is a good thing. When I feel a little pressure on me, it just 10x is what I'm
absolutely.
capable of. So
Yeah. And if you're not feeling pressure, like something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and on the times that you feel like it's going a little bit easier, that's when you double down, right? It's like, okay, I can get a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
Let me get all these other little things knocked out right now, right? So, but yeah, no, Kyle and Levi are both great. They work really well together too. Like as partners, they both know their role. It's cool to watch them, like, especially because I get to work so close with both of them, like watch them both give give and take a lot. And ultimately it's for the best of everybody, right? Like there's no personal agenda. There's no like, that was my idea. I had to be right on that. It was like, what's the best thing for the company? How to move forward? And that's the only reason they've been able to grow as fast as they have.
I always use the analogy in our office that, you know, in order to create something like super successful, you just got to find people who are like-minded with you, and that's your mastermind. And I think that Performance Windows has done such a great job of allowing the right people to be in the corporate office, allowing the right people to become market owners and things like that. And that's where we're all, I mean, we say it all the time, is we're here for the growth of the company.
Yeah.
It's not for my individual growth or my success. It's I'm here to help build this into something bigger.
Yep.
And I think Levi and Kyle have done a great job of putting the right people in place to let that happen.
Totally. And the other thing I respect too is they pay for what you guys are worth.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
Big time.
there's so many owners and stuff that they'll start seeing like, oh, I feel like that's it. Like when we write a commission check on a Friday now, it's like $1 million.
Yeah.
right? Like
a lot.
there's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and you can say like, oh, well, what if we restructure pay a little bit? It's like, right, but Levi's always dead set on like salesmen to get paid.
Yeah.
And I think that's an admirable thing. Kyle's the same exact way, you know? And I still love that they both pay themselves recruiting bonuses when they're recruits at 5 sales, right? Like, it doesn't change. Like, just because they're the owners, they're still trying to get the recruiting bonus. Even if it's only $2,000.
That's one thing that I would say that just from in my shoes is I don't feel like they look at us like they're the business owners. I feel like they just feel like they're one of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're good at leveling with people, right? And where we're on the same level. I understand what you're saying because they've been in the exact same shoes that we're in currently, right? And I feel like a lot of business owners, whenever they start a business, is they don't go and do every single step, right? They start delegating who can do this, who can do that, rather than knowing each step of the process for a successful business.
Yeah.
And I feel like they do a very good job of that, of knowing each individual role.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Your day-to-day life, right? So you wake up, you go to the corporate office. What does your day look like? Do you first just start looking at spreadsheets? Like what does that look like?
No, that's a good question. So the first thing I usually do in the morning is I'll pull up the leaderboard. And the way I allocate ad spend for you guys is based off of what offices you're performing, right? So I'm just making sure everybody's trending good year over year and month over month. It's like that time I called you, I'm like, I thought the leaderboard was broken because it said 2,000% year over year. Yeah. I'm like, is that real? Like,
You're really good.
And no, so I try to look for that, and then if I can see any issues, I try to get them like solved right away, right? Then usually Brayden and Sarah Jane come in about an hour after I get in, and I try to get all like the clerical stuff out of the way so I can kind of know how the day's gonna unfold.
Housekeeping.
And then we look through leads, make sure all the calls are good. I usually spot check 1 to 2 calls in the morning just to make sure nothing's crazy. And then it's just off from there. It's, you know, every day is just so different. But mostly it's just managing, you know, ad spend for offices, having Mitch create this new content, making sure appointments are being set. Then I work with Jorge and the retail guys on ensuring that all leads are being followed through, how they're run, listen to the zeros, right? Like,
Okay, so you're listening to zeros on retail as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got to dial in the process.
Yeah. Right. Because I'm like, okay, that sounded like a good lead. They both said they would be there, but then the wife was in the background with the kids. What happened in the agenda?
Right.
Right. Like, was there a point of what we could have said something that would have kept her there for the whole time?
Yeah.
Right? One thing that's easy is like, hey, you like looking out the windows, right? Yeah. Don't you want to say what you look out of? Yeah, totally.
You use them every day.
Yeah. It's like, do you want this kitchen sink window open up or down, left or right?
Yeah.
Right. We need your input.
Yeah.
You know, and then it gets so much easier when you can build that value going through it of like, oh man, this is on the west side. It's hot here. Does this get hot in the summer?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Well, hey, look, that's just one thing to think of. This will go through. Remember me to tell you about the light test. You know, like how can we build value throughout to like get that emotion present in the sale?
Well, yeah, and the name of the podcast is Discipline, Desire, and Dedication, right? Out of those 3 words, which one do you feel like relates the most to you?
It's hard.
Think about it.
I would say discipline.
Discipline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because without discipline, it's hard to have any desire or any dedication.
Yeah.
You know, and the discipline on the days where you don't have much desire is what can set you apart from everyone else.
That's right. You know, showing up.
Yeah.
That's Grant Cardino's biggest rule is show up.
Yeah.
You don't show up, you know, what good is your knowledge or what good is your drive?
Totally.
Yeah.
You
know, and there's nothing there if you don't show up.
Yeah.
And then one thing I'm curious about too. So in your role, you're really looking in the future. Like you're always predicting of how to get to where we're going to be. So what's kind of like, as far as the retail side of our company, do you think it's ever going to be a point where retail is going to be the majority?
It could be.
I mean,
but do I think it's the best?
Probably. No. And because I agree with that.
Yeah.
It works so well, never change.
Yeah.
But as you think about the other companies like Renewal by Anderson and Pella, they're all retail. Like they have canvassers and stuff like that. But we do canvassing on such a larger scale that imagine if we introduced, like, if we were equal with them on the retail side of
Yeah.
things, you know, like, would it ever make sense for our company to kind of venture down that route?
Well, I mean, like, it depends on how expensive a windows you guys want to sell
Yeah,
to cover
that
the
is true.
cost. You know what I mean? Like, if you think Renewal by Anderson or Pella or Champion, right? Like, their windows cost a lot because they're expensive to sell.
Yep.
I've heard, I don't know if this is gospel, but the sources I believe quite a bit. 33% of every dollar that comes in on an Anderson window goes back into advertising.
I believe it. I tell customers all the time that I had a call on Friday of last week where a customer canceled with us, and he was like, Anderson came out and they were about 20,000 more than you guys, but it seemed like they had a better window. And I'm like, well, no, this is not a better window. What you're paying for is their advertising.
Exactly.
So I was like, you can go with them. I was like, I'll be happy to cancel your contract, but I'm just letting you know, you're paying for their commercial.
Yep, exactly. And like Anderson, they don't canvas, but they're at every event, they're at every home show, every
I see them in
RV
Denver
show.
have booths set up.
Yeah, all over the place. Baseball
Christmas
games.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's where Kyle and Levi want to go, like we can go that way, right? But it's more expensive, it's more headache, and why not support the machine that's already working?
I feel like we're almost setting ourselves up to be the high end brand.
Yeah.
We're building ourselves to be like the Louis Vuitton, where it's a privilege to get our business. You know, it's like but to say Performance Windows did our business, they came to us, or I had to reach out to them, and it's going to be based on our integrity of our product and our installs.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of ways that this year we're gonna expand the retail side of things, like with different types of campaigns and stuff. But the first and foremost thing is gonna be, hey, let's focus on helping the door-to-door guys.
Yeah.
Like it's like what I talked about with the market. I mean, now when you Google Performance Windows, you don't have to be nervous about telling people to Google us and look up our reviews.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna get the weird Reddit threads. They're not gonna get the Renewal by Anderson ads, all that stuff. Like, we're spending the money to support you guys, so our reviews pop up first.
And I've noticed a big difference. I used to have customers all the time that were like, oh, we saw your stuff on Reddit and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, I got to bury that. You know what I mean? Like, that's my mission. So
and that's people who didn't do business with us.
exactly,
You know?
right? We're now accredited on the BBB. Can you guess how many people do you think look to see if we're accredited a month across
A
the
lot.
company?
On BBB, I would say,
I have no idea. I couldn't even get it.
I'd say probably like 20 to 30 people out of our office probably check it out.
1,000 people a month.
Really? Yeah. So you put up all those offices together? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
So 1,000 people a month checking to see if we're accredited.
And those are potential sales.
Yes,
Those are 1,000
exactly.
people wanting to buy windows.
Right? They're all boomers. I'll guarantee that. But right, they're like, are these guys accredited? Are they real? Like, somebody's knocking on my door.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. Do I actually want this appointment? Right? Or I can't tell you how many calls we get a day of Sarah Jane's like, hey, will you verify this person's for pickup? But
All the time.
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so just the brand value and the name Performance Windows has gone up, right?
Yeah.
Just from being able to be trusted, and think about how that helps your closers. And when you guys think about recruiting, right? Like, we have small window company A or Performance Windows.
Yeah.
These are the guys who are spending money to back us and help us sell. Like, don't I want to go with these guys? Like, it's such a huge recruiting tool for getting the best talent in the industry.
100%.
Yeah, and even on the install side.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, who doesn't want to work for the best window company?
Oh, dude, we get hundreds of applications
I
for
have people
employees.
come into my office. Hey, y'all hiring installers? And I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, man, we kind of booked up right now.
Yeah,
all
but
the
like,
phone
isn't that nice? Like,
yeah,
to be able to have all that talent on demand.
Well, it goes back to what you're saying, or what I think what Cotton said, right? It's a privilege to do business with us,
Totally.
right? And that's one thing that I tell my closers, right? Because they'll get in there, and if you got let's say you go 3 appointments and you got a no-go, right? You start getting a little bit desperate. You want to see something turn green, right?
Yep.
And I literally 5 minutes ago I was on the phone. And I literally told him, I was like, you don't have to convince them that there's value here,
Yep.
right? You don't have to convince them. All you got to do is you just got to show them. Is whenever you start convincing them that they're putting their guard up against you.
Exactly.
We have nothing to hide right here. Show the value. And if they don't want to do business with us, that's their loss. Right? It is an honor to do business with us.
I'm quick to cancel.
Yeah.
I'm quick. If they call me and they're like, we felt pressured because it was rushed. I'm like, look, I'll cancel it for you right now.
Yep.
I'm like, we understand. I've said it on the phone. We understand the value of the advertisement home. And if it's not a good fit, we've got 3 other people lined up to take it.
Totally. And it's
Sounds
true. Like, there are people who are lined up to take it. And like, I also love the product you sell because I put it in my own home. You know what I mean? Like, I I love the windows.
Yeah.
We had single pane aluminum windows, and it felt like sleeping in a canvas tent at scout camp. You could feel the wind blow.
I could only
right?
imagine.
And it'd rattle. Cars would drive by, wake up the baby. Like,
Yeah.
dude, we put it in windows, and I went with triple pane because we're on kind of a main road. Instantly changed the way the home looked.
Night and day difference.
Night and day. Like my bills didn't go down because the price of electricity went up, but I compare like the actual usage of power and gas, and it's down 30%. Like,
No joke.
it's crazy. Just just what it did to our home.
Oh yeah.
And that's where it's so easy to sell this product, because it's the conviction of we're truly selling the best of the best. And as our install, I always say, if I can't sell the best product on the market with the best price on the market, with the best install on the market, with the best customer service on the market, I probably shouldn't be selling. It's hard to not sell that.
You gotta sell yourself before you sell anybody else.
Absolutely.
You know.
So the one window deal that I've sold, it was to this guy he's a respected attorney, is my friend's father-in-law. I was trying this demo we used in the appointment. Now I was testing it out with him, and I dropped the price, and it was like 64 grand, and I didn't even blink. And he's like, I was like, it's gonna be expensive. He's like, really? How much? It's like 64K, but do you want to do cash or finance? He's like, well, what are your terms? I was like, the only one you're interested in is 18 months of no interest. I was like, but let's be real. Let's just pay cash now. And he's like, okay. And wrote me a check. You know what I mean? It was just like, I didn't have to bat an eye. And then his wife later said the air conditioner, when it clicked on, it scared her because she'd never been able to hear it because it was so noisy by the road they lived by.
No way.
Yeah. So it's
Changed
just like,
their life.
I didn't have to worry like about selling that product. Like, he was like going through the contract pretty specifically, and I was like, whatever you need, dude. Like, it's backed up, so don't worry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
And
You get all the
everything's taken care
information
of.
you need. Make them feel comfortable for sure.
yeah, and it's just nice to not have to worry about that back end stuff.
You got any last things?
Not so much. I appreciate everything
Yeah.
you do for
Yeah.
with Windows, and
Good.
I'm excited to be working with you.
Yeah,
for
you guys are
a
great.
long time.
I love watching your offices, and you guys are dogs. You know, it's a good culture you're building. So I'm never afraid to get in and do the work. So I appreciate you guys are right there.
Man,
Right
we
alongside.
thank you, bro. So, any last words you want to say? To
No,
anybody?
man.
Maybe anybody that's let's think about something. So, one last thought, right? What would you tell somebody that is right? Phone call to Levi, right? You kept pushing it away. You're like, oh man, I don't want to, do this. What would you tell somebody that's looking to make that next phone call to try to enhance their career?
You just got to do it. Like, there's too few people out in the world who have skill sets who can help others, but then they get nervous like I did to make the call. So make the call, but also do the work beforehand to make sure you can provide the value of that call.
Whenever you get on the call.
Yeah,
Admiration is key.
it is. Absolutely. Being deliberate is what matters. So
Cool
thank you
deal,
guys.
bro. I appreciate you.
And on
man.
Instagram,
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's _Alex Butterfield.
Alex
Alex Butterfield.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for watching Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channels, and drop a comment below, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.